Before the universe existed, before numbers even had names, two ideas were already waiting. One was zero, the other was infinity. They had never met, but somehow they had always known each other. For most of human history, we didn't even know how to write zero. Ancient civilizations could count, measure, and build, but they had no symbol for nothing. Without zero, whole kinds of calculations were impossible. Mathematics itself had blind spots. It wasn't until thinkers in ancient India gave nothing its own symbol, a small circle, that numbers suddenly gained a new power. With zero, counting could stretch farther than anyone had imagined. Infinity took even longer. Ancient philosophers argued about it for centuries. Some believed it had to exist. Others insisted it couldn't possibly be real, because how could anything endless ever actually exist? For a long time, infinity wasn't a number. It was a mystery. And deep down, zero and infinity sensed something unsettling. If they ever truly met, the rules of mathematics might stop making sense. One day, inside a fragile equation, they collided. Infinity thundered, "I'm everything, I can swallow anything." Zero answered softly, "Swallow me, and you disappear too." Because multiplying anything by zero always gives zero. Even the largest quantity vanishes if zero touches it. Mathematicians eventually ran into strange expressions like infinity divided by zero or infinity times zero. Situations like these don't produce ordinary answers. They are called indeterminate, meaning the rules alone aren't enough to decide what happens. It was as if logic itself had lost its compass. And just when everything seemed impossible, someone new appeared. Calculus, not a fighter, a guide. He said, "You are looking at each other the wrong way. You think you are fixed things, but you are not. You are movements. Let's watch how you change." And he opened the door, a world of limit. A limit doesn't ask what a number is. It asks what is approaching. Inside that world, everything changed. Infinity became growth. Zero became shrinking. Calculus placed them side by side and said, "Let's see who moves faster." Sometimes infinity wins. Here's what's happening. One part is getting small, but the other grows much faster. So the whole expression shoots upward without bound. Sometimes zero wins. This time both parts increase, but the bottom grows much faster than the top. So the fraction as a whole shrinks toward zero. And sometimes something remarkable happens. Consider this famous expression. At first glance, it looks like zero divided by zero, which normally makes no sense at all. But limits don't judge numbers by their values, they watch how they move. Here, the top and bottom shrink toward zero in perfect synchrony. They fade at exactly the same rate. So instead of contradiction, they balance. And that balance produces a calm, stable answer. 1. There's an even more beautiful meaning. As x grows larger and larger, the fraction 1 over x gets smaller and smaller, so the base creeps closer and closer to 1. But at the very same time, the exponent, the power outside, is growing without limit. One part barely changes, the other grows endlessly. And instead of exploding or collapsing, the expression settles into a very special number, E. This number appears throughout nature in growth, decay, populations, heat flow, even neural signals. It's what happens when near stillness and endless growth cooperate perfectly. After countless encounters, Zero and Infinity began to understand each other. Infinity said, "No matter how large I become, if we fade in just the right way, we can still create something finite." Zero replied, "No matter how small I get, if you grow in just the right way, we can still create something boundless." They were never enemies, they were partners, two ends of the same idea. Now they meet everywhere, in derivatives where change is measured, in integrals where tiny pieces build wholes, in infinite series where endless steps add up to finite answers, and in singularities they meet completely, the smallest point holding the greatest intensity. Today, somewhere in the world, a student writes, "Both the top and the bottom are shrinking toward zero, but they shrink at matching speeds. They vanish at same order." So the expression doesn't break, it settles into one half. And right there at the tip of that pencil, Zero and Infinity meet again, quietly, peacefully, perfectly. Before numbers had names, they were only rumors. Now they are the language the universe speaks. And somewhere inside every limit ever written, Zero and Infinity are still shaking hands. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.